something completely external to the system. It's just, everything is done in terms of the row calculus or the space-time calculus. So it's all kind of native to the row calculus as it is, instead of, building something on top of that.
One thing I noticed he didn't bring up in the chat he had with you and Christian was that, which he did talk about in the Casper stand-up, and it may, to you guys, it may have been completely obvious by the way he talked about, the resources of one being well, to me, the way he explained it in the Casper stand-up was a way I could understand. And he said the atoms of one calculus become, let's see, the expression of one calculus become the atoms of the other.
I started recording. Hi, Isaac. I guess you're talking about the red and black calculus?
Yeah, that's right. We're talking about the red and black calculus. Yeah,
did that immediately come to mind to you when he talked about it in terms of resources?
Well, okay, so kind of generally speaking, when he's talking about these red and black atoms for different set theories, he's talking about some kind of variant of this Frankel-Matovsky set theory, which is, another axiomatic framework for set theory. Different from the regular Zermelo-Frankel set theory that most people think in terms of, like, where everything is kind of derived from the empty set, using the axiom schemata.
I see. Okay, now I know how you guys got on board with it so quick.
So
I would have been totally lost until he started talking about the atoms of one and the terms of the other.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, and really, all he means by saying that stuff is, so you have one. You have two different notions of sets, right? And so he's calling one red and one black, basically. And it's like you have all of your constructors to build these sets up in, either the red setting or the black setting. But then he wants to do some kind of like cross-wiring type of construction where you can then take all of these, sets from one of the universes or whatever, and then plug them into the other universe in such a way that you kind of just take them as it is. You can't look into the internal structure of them. They're basically like, objects in a category or something, which you can't inspect the internal structure of.
Right.
Yeah. So he talks about it. He talks about it in terms of having two separate notions of like a contained in or element.
He talked about red black brackets and black brackets.
Yeah, and also
did you understand that?
Well, yeah. So that's kind of like your two different universes, right? So it's like, you can think of having some sort of grammar for term constructors and for black sets or for red sets, and they're essentially what you would think they are. You have these brackets and you have elements and you have like an inclusion relation, and you can basically build up sets, in the black set universe by using only, the black braces and elements that you can put inside these black braces, and then you can start asking questions like, is this element, in this black set of elements, and you can do the same thing for red sets. You just now have these red curly braces, or maybe some different notion of braces if you don't want to think about them as colors, but I think that's a good way to think about them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like I said, then you can basically take these sets from the other. So if I'm in the red universe now, right, my red sets are kind of like what I know how to build up. You can take the black sets as kind of like the elements to build up your red sets almost. So you can't look into the internal structure of the black sets, but you can think of them as atoms for building up your sets. At least that's how I understand it.
So these are well-founded sets.
Well-founded sets, yeah, yeah.
What does, I mean, is there anything special about a well-founded set?
Well-foundedness is like a descending chain condition, basically. It's like you can't, descend forever by removing braces, essentially. Like you can't have an infinitude of like sets within sets within sets within sets.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, it's sort of like you have the theory. Generally, or a non-well-founded set is conceptual, whereas a well-founded set is something that could actually be exhibited.
Yeah, you can. It's like a constructive kind of set theory. You can actually show how to build them up from the ground, kind of.
And I got the idea that, what he's going to do with this technique, I mean, he was already going to do it in another way, but this is a more, this will allow us to get a better handle on the way we're doing things by putting it in this framework of the the binary calculi.
Yeah, so my understanding, and now I don't have the full picture in my mind. It's just kind of like what I've, the insights that I've gotten from the things Greg has said. And actually, last night for the members meeting was kind of like connecting a lot of dots for me, because he was talking about the importance of being able to compile everything down to like the pure row calculus, because he has this idea in mind of building these like hardware chips, and he has some sort of like conceptual design for this stuff already, and then having specific hardware to run row calculus operations. And and then he started talking about, well, then the bottleneck is really the consensus protocol, and then somehow he's talking about using quantum computing to do something with consensus, which I didn't completely understand. I would definitely have to look into that a little bit more to see what he was getting at there.
He said that quantum computing is decades away, but there's something on the horizon that gives us much of the same. And I didn't quite follow. Did you understand that he was implying that we were going to get a solution to the bottleneck even before the quantum solution comes along?
Not from the conversation that we had last night. I possibly wasn't paying close enough attention.
Okay. I wasn't sure about that. I kind of wanted to hear what you said about that. Well, and one thing I asked him in the Casper stand-up was that, okay, now we've got, two calculi, red and black. Will that do everything we ever need, or will there be a possibility to introduce a green calculus? And it basically, it sounded like he was saying, well, there's nothing that math won't let us do, but my intention here was more a utilitarian one, rather than opening up a whole another set of possibilities that we need to explore. He was only going here because it was a solution to a specific problem that we have.
Yeah,
I think I misunderstood a little bit about that. I mean, the way I understood he was talking about was like you had one logical system, that the red and black were two logical systems that were related, but they were the same calculi. So you're saying the calculi are different in the two?
Well,
Just
they're
just in
different.
terms of,
Yeah, they're different in the terms that they can look in. I mean, you know, one can look into a term and the other can't. It sees it as an atom.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're very different, but they're all based on the row calculus.
Hmm.
yeah. There's a, you know, as I was understanding it, it was sort of like the you had a uh, a bisimulation almost of two systems that would sort of like match uh, well, one, you know, I guess catalyze each other. I mean, in the sense that they, when they agreed, and that's the consensus part of it,
Hmm.
it would be catalytic, and it would cause something to happen.
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't really have any action listening, message being sent unless you had concurrence that the comma event was supposed to happen.
Yeah, my understanding of why he wanted, you know, two different notions of almost the same thing was basically for what you just said, Jim. So there was some sort of interaction between these two systems, and you could have more, like you were saying, Gary. But I guess he's trying to do it from like the simplest possible case where you can have interaction, and so he wanted, you know, just two to make it as simple as possible, but also have like this additional expressibility.
I like the way you get a sense of safety with this. You know, the fact that you've got these calculi running side by side, and there's never any danger that one will accidentally step on the other's, um, you know, territory because
Hmm.
it just can't see into the terms of the other calculi.
Right.
Wow.
Hey, Thomas Law, welcome.
I'm going to have to leave shortly. Maybe we should have somebody else do the recording. Well, I could probably leave this room open.
Hey, Thomas Law.
Hey.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Yeah, and another point, another thing that Greg mentioned in the meeting last night concerning the quantum consensus was he kind of pointed at this new claim by IBM that they've regained quantum superiority. I don't know if you heard about that. I mean, it was in the news yesterday.
Yeah, I heard about it a little while ago. I think there was a Forbes article saying that Google had, you know, claimed to have achieved quantum supremacy, but then apparently they removed all remarks, and the article was about this like mysterious claim to quantum supremacy, but the absence of any sort of like official statement about it. But then, yeah, I guess yesterday or maybe the day before or something, they've now officially made claims of achieving quantum supremacy.
I didn't. Yeah, I'd heard both of those too, and I thought these were different things. But thanks for the background on that, because
Mm-hmm.
I can maybe look at it a little more intelligently now.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah, I want
what
to say it
does
was
this
like
mean? Sorry.
a month ago or something. Oh, sorry, what was that?
What does this mean to have quantum supremacy?
I It just means that they have the best model of running a quantum computer. That, to me, that's all it means. Isaac,
Is this
you see it
related to
different?
number of qubits or?
Yeah, it is. It's related to the number of qubits. I don't know how many they have in their system, but my understanding of the claim of quantum supremacy is like they have a quantum computer that can do some sort of calculation that is just completely infeasible for a classical computer to do.
Yeah, I heard that
Wow.
they had done one that would require a classical computer thousands of years, and then somebody came back and said, no, our supercomputer will do it in one day. So, so I guess it's still up in the air whether they really have done what they think they've done.
Mm-hmm.
But
I was thinking that maybe this is something serious, that you can crack today's crypto algorithm, but yeah, it's too far.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite there yet. All of our banking transactions are still secure, as far as I know, as far as I understand.
Tomislav, have you been following the red and black calculi discussion that Greg started in the Casper session and then continued?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And I was thinking maybe is it okay that I join Casper stand-up on Mondays?
If they let me join, they'll probably welcome you with
because I would really like to join.
I do a lot of talking there. You can shut me up.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to promise to behave myself to attend, but so far he hasn't kicked me out.
Cool. I will also.
He's very grateful for, he's so grateful for your participation that, you don't mind making a fool of yourself.
Yeah, it's hard to just, just to get on camera and start talking is hard without, some kind of feedback, even if it's from, somebody like myself, I mean, you guys would be much better in there than I would.
Yeah, I would definitely like to ask some questions.
And, I've been there weeks when the only one to show up is Vlad. And so you get this great opportunity to have, one-on-one.
Yeah. There's no
I've been there with when it was just Vlad and Greg and Kent.
Mm-hmm.
And Christian is always there, but
well, it's fun. The attendance had gone down somewhat, but Vlad still makes it. His appearances have become more rare.
Yeah. I'm interested how this is done to prove execution trace. So, yeah.
Could you repeat that? I didn't quite catch that.
Greg was talking about how to prove execution trace, right? Without replaying the whole code.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So he said, okay, we need to calculate all the functions, right? That are not part of the blockchain, like all the primitives that are used directly from Scala. Right? But I'm not sure how can you execute the function inside the continuation somewhere. You don't know the inputs because you're not replaying the whole code. So how can you it's for me this is like totally not understandable.
Was he talking about using logic T for that somehow, or is that something totally different?
I don't think so that he's thinking about logic T for this kind of stuff.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. I'm not sure. I cannot remember now to say something meaningful.
Yeah, me either.
I was thinking about wallets, you know, and
Yeah.
my mind is in different place now.
Oh, that's right. You guys were talking about the signature stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff gets all balled up.
I remember a presentation about dependent types and red-black trees.
You do. I did not.
Where with dependent types, you can express like red-black trees that are balanced just with the types. So because you have computation on the type level, and it is possible to do this kind of.
Cool. So that's a good clue. Yeah.
But he was talking about he was explaining a red and black set that are interleaved, right? Yeah. And the black becomes atoms of the red, and the red atoms of the black. So yeah, I see this as a reflection directly.
Yeah, that's how he frames it as well, I believe. Yeah.
I mean, you want to have types, but you want to be able to somehow read the structure. So for me, this is the reflection. I have a type, but I can also, write the code that will give me information about the types.
Wow.
I mean, in this generator for Arnold, I was reading protobuf types, and I was generating TypeScript types, and I'm calculating the values by looking at the types, so I can know what type of the value I can expect. So the reflection is for me the thing that you must use, because it's so powerful. And we didn't used to use reflection in our code base. I was reading about Scala reflection because I want to do some protobuf generation, and this is pretty new stuff in Scala. I was surprised because but it is more fancy than in C#.
Okay. What's the best for somebody like myself? What could you recommend to read about this concept of reflection in programming?
Oh, I found a very nice explanation in Scala, Scala staging programming. Because this is somewhere called a staging. It calls LLS. So here is the link.
Okay, thanks.
It is good introduction to. It is about Scala, but it's good introduction how they transferred this knowledge from dependent types to Scala, and this is done by the same people that are working on the Haskell dependent types.
Wow.
Maybe I can easily find this presentation. But reflection is also very used in JavaScript. But because you don't see types, you don't see the reflection directly.
Wow.
So how do we relate that to quantum causality, where the observer pattern is a reflection of the possibility realm? You cause up by is it just? I mean, is it just coincidence that we have the Hermitian complex Hermitian conjugate is a reflection of the possibility space that is the catalyst that causes things to happen. Okay, I mean, I can see that we can cause, we can cause there to be a quantum event by tuning into its frequency or its structure, its pattern. I can't relate that to types.
Yeah.
Types of, I mean, types are.
So yeah, usually we think about types.
I mean, in a sense, when you're generating a listening for a pattern in the quantum, that pattern is is like a types in that it's a behavioral type. We're looking for a certain behavior, and we're matching that behavior.
Yeah. So in a sense, behavior becomes a relation between different rules. If this makes sense. So if we have some languages with different rules, behavior is somehow how can you express which rules can go in which order, right? How to in Roland you have send receives, and how you connect these send receives is really gives you behavior, and then and really gives you a type.
Yeah.
So how this is related to your question?
Well, the thing is, I don't know how to go from a type to phase and frequency.
To phase.
I can see that we're looking for behavior of the system. I mean, that's what when we tune a radio, that's what we're doing. We're looking for the behavior of the system, and you can see how types are behaviors. You're really saying how the thing behaves when you say what type it is.
Yeah, and how it's changing over time.
It's just a big leap between the quantum, which is universal logic, all possible logical systems, which is not really very strange at all. It's only strange because we're used to looking at facts, not possibilities, not questions. That we find out that only questions are real. There isn't wasn't any substance behind the questions.
Gentlemen, this has been illuminating. We have to go to Dig Life annual general meeting now. So
That's true.
thank
Cool.
you for joining. You don't have to leave, but I do.
See you there.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I guess I better pay attention to our annual meeting. So I'll leave also.
Okay.
You have the key, the host key, so you can start another recording. But I know you probably won't. We'll see you.
Yeah.